What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 63 of High Top Flip Flops. As always, it is me. It's Chris, aka Chris, aka not Chris, aka bash me outside because I don't fight, I just get beat up, aka Lil Poopy Dirt, aka it's not me, it's not you, and we're just going through a tough time right now, aka Dr. Do Too Little. And as always, I'm here with Navek.
It's Navek, aka Navape, aka Mr. Run Up on Your Girl, say hello then run away, aka the Tamil Tyrese, aka looking for a queen to beat my ass. And we also have some great guests here today.
We have a lovely new friend today, George Roubos. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You got it right on. I only have one name though, so
Okay.
no AKAs.
No AKAs. Hey man, we'll find you an AKA as the show goes on.
That's what's up.
But George is a very talented musician, located currently out of Toronto, but as he's mentioned with us off the record here, has done some traveling too. So we're gonna talk to him more about that. But shout out to our good pal Shayan, who's been on the show here before, episode 37 with Darze Studios. Make sure to check that one out. Cheap plug-in right there. Hit that one more time.
Yes, sir. Hey, run that back one more time.
Which one?
Arrow.
Pre-workout kicked in full hard. Jeez.
There we go. We got the whole drop right there.
Okay.
Here we go.
But Shayan put us on to George and George's music, and shortly after getting in touch with him, we were keen to have him on. So thank you very much for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you having us in your family home here. I don't know if you could peep the setup right now. We're very cozy in this Greek household right now.
We've dubbed it the kitchen.
Hashtag the kitchen.
This is the kitchen.
As,
Where did get that name from?
I feel a lot of Connect 4 vibes here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Connect 4
That
going
too, you know,
down.
a
I
little
like
FIFA, little FIFA.
Little people, little.
Mostly the kitchen because we've been cooking.
You be cooking.
Yeah, I don't
okay.
even. Yeah.
Is it the kitchen? Have we decided on the kitchen or?
We didn't really decide, but I
The
think we're
bunker,
deciding
the
right
kitchen.
now that it's the kitchen. To be honest.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
with the
yeah.
kitchen.
Now it's official. Now like it's recorded.
official.
It's done.
So
But you
wax.
record here.
I don't record here.
Oh, you don't record here.
No, I
Okay.
don't record here.
So what kind of cooking goes on here then? That's what I want to know.
Dude, this is where like the
Pusha T starts playing.
The mental cooking. You know?
Mental cooking. Okay.
that's it.
Gotcha.
No, yeah, it's like
Creative.
It's like the prep.
Yeah,
the prep
yeah.
zone of the kitchen. You know.
Amazing. The prep. Okay.
Before we hit the studio.
This is an
Everything,
analogy.
most things are like written here, and I sort of build the instrumentation, what
Right.
I have in my head
Okay.
roughly
Yeah.
out on the computer, and then we head to the studio and bring
Gotcha.
in the band and all that.
Amazing. This is kind of the idea spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of, Navik and I, and we talked about this as well. It's kind of special because I guess this is the first time that you really kind of sat down and maybe shared your story a little bit.
Facts.
So that's kind of it's cool for us to do, and obviously exciting to be able to do with you. But let's start from the beginning here, man. Is Toronto where you've grown up for most of your life? Has it been elsewhere? And where is it
Always.
that you've kind of grown up?
Always born and raised. I've like lived here.
Go ahead.
Stupid, are you dumb? I was like growing up my whole life in this house. We haven't
Wow.
moved, and I was like born just down the street. And yeah,
He's a block boy.
He's a block boy. And how'd you meet this guy? How'd you meet Shayan? Is it around this from
yeah,
here?
we were working together actually when during All-Star Weekend on
Oh,
the
word.
Sneaker
Ni-
Express.
Yeah,
Sneaker
for
Express.
Nike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like,
You weren't finessing. You weren't scalping
Jordans,
tickets
you know?
there.
Legit. Legit work.
Why didn't you do
Legit
that
income.
Why?
Damn, that's such a wasted opportunity.
Why?
Don't worry, we got our little side thing after this. Navik,
Yeah.
you know?
But you met him at
Yeah.
All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, and that's when I was working on my music, I guess, and
Right.
just sort of like writing. And I'd recorded a bit, but it wasn't all sounding the way I wanted.
Yeah.
But like I was talking to him about it, and he said, "Oh man, like when it's all done, like I'd love to, like just sit down and talk about it," because that was really early that I had just started talking about it. Like I was doing it for a while,
Right.
but I wasn't just ready to like start to talk about it, I guess, with people.
Kind of think about it
So-
outside.
so,
like a
yeah.
hobby kind of deal, right?
Like 2 years later, I think, when In the City was ready, I like hit him up to show him, and he was like, boom. Since then, we just been
He's ready.
working together on everything,
Yeah.
sketching the plans.
When we were working, you were doing more. You're on the photography side.
Yeah,
more,
that,
right?
like,
At that point.
At that point, I was doing photography.
Wow. Okay.
I was working on music the whole time, but
Right.
like I said, I wasn't just ready to talk about it yet. 'Cause
Mhm.
I didn't personally feel it was at the level I wanted it to be at.
Yeah.
Just everything with like my vocal, with the like the whole music side of it, the writing side, just everything just wasn't at the level I wanted it to be at.
For sure.
But I was lucky that the photography kind of just like kept me busy in the meantime, and I was learning about all the visual stuff that I need now to like make sure
For promo.
the whole brand and the promo, and when it comes to shooting the videos and everything, like I know what's going on, so I could help. Right.
You can help out, and like you can articulate your vision a lot better, right?
Yeah, just like you were saying before.
Yeah.
Trying to get somebody else's vision.
It's hard to put together someone else's vision. Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's kind of it's a scary thing too, right? Particularly when the art form is like when you when it's not, especially in your head when it's not perfect. When you're like, this isn't gonna slap. This isn't gonna like resonate with people immediately.
Yeah,
it's a scary thing to like put it out there and even get that immediate feedback too. You know, it's like, damn, like, am I ready to put that out there? Is that kind of what you were feeling at the time?
Yeah, 100%. Then even now, sometimes I feel like that, but I always try to like set a time when I say I'm gonna be done with this, and then because you can always change it.
Yeah, man.
And if you don't like set a time for yourself, then you'll just be sitting on stuff forever. So I try to set the time, and then when it comes to that time, I say, okay, it's done. I'm going to work on the next thing.
For sure.
So you're sitting on a lot of music.
You could say that.
Hundreds of songs, I'm assuming.
Around there.
He's on that little beat.
Give or take a couple of zeros.
248 songs.
Bare heat. Some Katie diss tracks too.
Yeah. He's going to put it all out in a mixtape. That's perfect. That's precisely what we need, that 300 song mixtape. But you mentioned, having started or, having had created or kind of been working on music for a long time. What would you say, or what does the history of kind of music within like your household look like? Is that something, has music always been something that's present?
Always. I mean, like with my Greek side, my grandparents' siblings were all like singers in Greece.
Whoa.
But like old school, like folk Greek music,
folk music,
where you pull out the clarinet and it's all over the place.
Yeah, let's all take a pause right here, and then in the video and the audio, we'll throw in Greek folk music right here, and then we'll get back to it. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
Yeah, but and then from like my mom's side, she's from Trinidad, so like I got the whole soca carnival thing, and she listens to a lot of like Whitney Houston, and through that, like you listen to Babyface, and then you get into all these other R&B artists that are like so influential to me now.
For sure.
So it's just kind of all led in a line.
Yeah, no kidding, man. That's a lot. It's a lot to take in. I mean, but also kind of that's what in a lot of ways is like a blessing, right? There's like a lot of influence from a lot of different places.
Yeah, I've been lucky in that sense.
Yeah, and you mentioned Babyface and more R&B kind of artists. Influencing. Do you feel like it's those sounds or those kind of ideas in a lot more R&B, a lot more soul music that you feel like you're thinking about when you're making your music, in terms of whether it's like chord progressions or just the way songs unfold, maybe even lyrically? Yeah,
100%. Very R&B, but then also like I'm very influenced by like singer-songwriter, and I always get laughed at when I say this, but I'm very influenced by like country music and how they write and the storytell when they write.
Yeah.
So I also like try to put that into my music as well. I like to make sure there's always a story there.
Right. Break that down for us, because like Nivek and I enjoy music, but we don't listen to country music. That's just like that's just a fact, to be honest.
There's Reba. I'm sure she bangs in Nashville, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Reba, if you hear this and you're trying to do a feature, just holla at me. Holla at Shayan.
Making music?
Holla at me. Some, No. I was just saying what is it?
Reba.
Holla at us.
Holla.
It's just when you guys heard "I'm a Survivor," right?
By Reba, no.
The theme song to the Reba show.
Huge song.
That's what you opened.
I just know Lil Nas X. That's the extent of my.
What's it called?
Dabbling in country.
Yeah. Billy Ray Cyrus.
But no, George just put me on a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm expanding your palette
okay.
beyond Pressa,
Oh yeah, Beyond Press.
as we were speaking
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah, Beyond Halal Game. Yeah, that's all right. That's okay, man. That's a good starting point. You know, it's a good.
That's a
starting
good
point.
starting point.
Yeah.
Shout out Toronto. Shout out to every artist in Toronto.
Yeah, man. But no, I mean, genuinely speaking, like for a lot of young artists, or at least who are making music in the style that you have been, you know, I think that is something unique, at least to the people that we've had on the show too. Country music is not something that historically has kind of informed or resonated with a lot of people. So that is something that we definitely find interesting. And do you feel like, even given a lot of the music that was like played in your house, you know, like we've talked about this all before, and we're always kind of curious to ask, you know, as being a child of immigrant parents, sometimes like even dropping that sign of like, you know, wanting to pursue something creative as like a full time, like you mentioned, you know, doing photography for like a fair bit of time. I can imagine that was like was that a difficult conversation to kind of have with your parents? Like, you know, I'm not taking a more kind of standard route here. This is something creative that I care to do.
Nah, not even a little bit.
Amazing.
My parents so supportive.
Yeah.
Everything I want to do.
Right.
I think secretly they kind of knew, because I think I was 2 years old. We were looking at some photos the other day, and I found a photo of me 2 years old, and I was Elvis for Halloween. You know, I'm walking around with a little guitar.
Proper.
Future album cover, maybe.
Yeah.
We could talk about that later. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and I was always singing. Like, my mom's telling me stories, because we've owned restaurants. Like, that's the whole Greek thing, right?
No
You're
way,
Greek,
okay.
you gotta own restaurants.
Is that a thing?
That's the thing. That's
For
the
real?
thing. Shout out Greek restaurant owners.
There we go. See that we're giving agency to our guests to run the soundboard. Okay. That's
Creative freedom here on
Freedom.
High Top Flip Flop.
That's what it's
What
all
kind
You
about.
know, that's
But-
Canada. You know,
You know?
we just that's what we do here. You know, we allow the
That's it.
guests to touch the board. Anybody can come here, just touch the board real quick. All right,
That's
connect
it.
with us, vibe with us.
That's it.
Canada. Shut the hell up, man. Anyways, sorry.
Nah, but yeah, just growing up in the restaurant, my mom was telling me stories how I used to like help when I was 3-4 years old,
Right.
wiping the tables and singing Tony Braxton. And I'm like,
Damn.
how did I know who Tony Braxton was?
Braxton
How did I
was
know
at the
the
time.
words of the song?
Yeah.
But like, I guess hearing it so many times, played, like,
Just kinda
driving with
pick
my
up
mom
on
in the
it.
car and at home and all this, and sort of stuck
yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
It sticks
So,
with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I mean, that's
Mhm.
always what we want to hear, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah,
the ideal situation.
Yeah.
And it obviously makes, you know, setting up or having the, you know, the idea incubator, the kitchen here
Mhm, that's
in the
just it.
basement.
Yeah.
It obviously makes things a lot easier for you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think was that? What do you think was that kind of turning point for you to, you know, start hosting conversation with people like Shayan, or just start hosting more conversations, or even more thought, you know, about pursuing music or starting to put out music? Was there kind of like a point? Was there a song or a moment, or, you know,
It
a
wasn't
point in
so
time, you
much
think?
a song, because a lot of the songs that I didn't like feel so strongly about before, I kind of like reworked, and
Yeah.
now I feel like they're great songs. So eventually we'll get in and record them with the live instruments and all
Right.
that. But I guess just personally, I got more confident with my singing voice and how I was writing, and then also just working more, like with my vocal coach.
Yeah.
We did a couple shows where we just performed songs I had written acoustically, and I was like, shit, like getting good feedback. So
Yeah.
maybe this is something that I can look into
For sure,
actually doing. So
Your practice kind of started like showing, like the work that
Yeah.
you're putting in
Yeah,
started
yeah.
to kind of resonate,
Yeah.
or at least show in the public spaces, right?
mhm.
That's tough too, is like, especially going through the process of like just practicing and like putting in that work as it always is, right? It's like
Yeah,
a slow,
that's key though. That's
slow
key in
burning
everything.
process. Yeah,
Key in everything.
no kidding.
Buddy,
Yeah,
you got to train 5 times a week to play the game on Saturday.
yeah.
That's how you make it to the Prem.
It's,
Bars.
it's very true, man. It's very true. It's very timely as well, man.
Mm.
But
It's not just the practicing either, like, you know, diet and all that goes into making it to the Prem, but
yeah.
it's the same thing for music.
Yeah, of course. You have to commit to your craft, right? And was at this point in time, the one body of work that you currently have is called In the City.
Yeah.
Is it was that your first kind of full-bodied piece of work that you ever put out? Have you put out something previous that you wiped off the internet or wiped?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known how to wipe it off the internet.
Yeah.
I tried. So I was just very patient with that.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
terms of putting things out, because like I said, I wasn't that confident with it. But once I started, getting more involved with the live instruments and talking to more musicians and like getting in that sort of band setting and performing with bands,
Right.
and I was like, maybe we could record the band, and I would love the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened. And then once we started doing that, I felt more comfortable about just talking about it and then talking to Shay and getting it off the ground.
Yeah,
I guess.
for sure.
True. Now, something I enjoy when I come across a good project is just driving, and just listening to the project.
Yeah.
Like when you were making those songs, were you
Yeah, that
testing
was
them out? Like
100%. Always got to whip test and mix it.
Yeah.
where were you driving?
You already know I was in the Civic.
Yeah.
Oh, like where? Like, were you downtown? But
No, I was driving all over the place.
The Civic
But
is important.
I do
Civic
like
is very pivotal.
yeah,
It's very pivotal.
very very pivotal. I do like to, when I'm making songs, like picture being able to drive downtown, especially in the city.
Yeah.
Here in the city, like how I called the project.
Yeah.
And like it being a whole vibe of that sort of
For sure.
drive through the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And was that what would you say that was kind of one of the inspirations behind even titling the project In the City? Was there what kind of inspired naming it that?
What really inspired it was I had been writing, trying to figure out what to put on the project.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother and I went to Greece for about a month.
Whoa.
And that's when I wrote In the City.
True.
Because I was like really struggling with it. I had like the chords and everything,
Right.
but I just couldn't get any words out. And I was just chilling in Greece. We wrote it, and then I came back and I was like, okay, now we're in the cities, and I have the song In the City.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a project around that, and then sort of grew from there.
Evolve from there.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I think one thing that is always, I don't know, kind of difficult is to like determine from the jump where your project or like your idea is gonna go, right? Because we see that so often is like like concept projects or like concept albums. Sometimes they take like years and years to put out, and then other times you can see concepts that just like go out the window. They end up being like 20 song albums, and like you have no real sense of like where something is gonna kind of go. Do you feel like another part of this project that we quite like is like the length of it as well? It's not something that's super long. It's something that you can digest really kind of quickly. Was that something that you also kept in mind as well, the length of it and how little or how much you kind of wanted to involve in it?
100%. It's because nowadays everybody has like such a short attention span. Nobody wants to listen to like full-length albums unless it's really well curated and it's like a nice journey the whole way through. I hate that word journey, but it just came out. But
fair enough. It's all good.
but unless it's like really well curated. So the songs are quite long individually,
Right.
but as a project, the whole project, I wanted to keep it a bit shorter.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because given like streaming nature currently, a lot of artists will do the converse, so they'll do more songs and they'll make them all shorter as well, because it just accumulates more kind of streams that way, right? Which we'll kind of talk about in a little bit, but
I wasn't too worried about that. I
Yeah,
just wanted to
yeah.
like make the songs I wanted to make.
That's
and
right. Yeah,
make the project I wanted to make
course.
and just put it out.
yeah. Which arguably is the way it should be, right? It shouldn't necessarily be.
Yeah, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Shouldn't
music
be.
industry is a funny place.
Yeah, a very funny place. This guy's making funny face.
I heard you shouldn't sign to that guy Birdman.
Oh damn! I hit the wrong one. Hit the wrong one.
Alhamdulillah, أكيد حلال all the time.
Sorry, what'd you say about Birdman?
I heard he's a good guy to sign with.
Oh,
he has
yeah.
those great deals. Just he loves artistry.
He
Get him on the phone.
He really does making sure his
Fan
artists get.
Holla at us, Birdman.
Yeah,
No, don't. It's all good.
get that Birdman.
Now,
Come looking for me. That wasn't a diss. Just I'm busy.
Birdman.
I
don't
heard he
come
just
for me.
texts you. Like, he just has your number. So he just sends the text through. Goons come through.
Nah, I'm nervous.
Who's
Gotta
you
move.
send?
We gotta move.
Gotta.
It's gotta
He sends gotta when there's a problem, you know.
Finds him from 2008.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes back to
He
2008.
goes back
finds
to
him.
Bedrock. You remember that song?
I got her grocery bag. That's how he was.
That's all he knows. Yeah, it's legit. But sorry. Go ahead.
No. Now there's no such thing as a classic project without a voicemail on there. Now there is a song with the voicemail.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I can't relate to this voicemail at all because this is the nicest girl ever.
Yeah.
Like,
she's
was
a
that
nice girl.
actually inspired? Like, I know it's not the exact same voicemail, but was it like pieces taken from a real voicemail?
You can say that.
So it was a lot of inspiration from your regular life into this project, right?
Whole project.
Okay, perfect.
I like that.
Do you feel like that is I mean, as it would be for a lot of songwriters, but sometimes songwriters might even take on the perspective of someone else. Do you feel like,
Yeah.
for the most part, your songs have all come from a very personal place?
Yeah. They always start there.
Mm.
They always start there. But then I also like to write sometimes from like somebody looking at me, like
Right.
from the
Third person.
from the outside. Yeah,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen too often, but it's fun sometimes to switch it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just another way to kind of expand
Yeah.
the perspectives, right, that you take on through your music. And speaking of, with this project in particular, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm curious to know what it is for you. But my favorite song on it is "Lost." That's my favorite song.
Oh, I was nervous of putting that one out. to be
Really?
honest,
Why is
yeah.
that? Why is that?
'Cause it's a little different. It's a little like funky kind of.
Mm.
And I don't know. I guess it's not like that. The whole EP is not really that Toronto sound, which
Right,
is
right,
like
right.
what I was doing before.
Yeah.
And but I really wanted to like sort of keep that in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was just a little funkier than I
Some of the
guess
other songs
what I
on
was
the
used to.
project. Yeah,
what
yeah,
I was
yeah.
used to.
Interesting.
But there's been good feedback. From
Good
it,
feedback
so,
from
yeah.
it. Eh? Yeah, man. It stuck out to me. I found the way your first verse in there. And yeah, I hope this isn't taken as an insult, but I very much got heavy like Weekend vibes from that, and the way that it's melodic, but it's still the way that you kind of phrase everything. The rhythm of it is still very like it's like bars,
Yeah.
You're hitting
Yeah.
bars.
Man's got bars.
But you're singing them. Yeah, exactly.
Been serving bars my whole life. You know what I mean?
But this guy's doing his own sound bites over here. But that for sure is the biggest one, or my favorite song on the project. And it's funny you say that because you mentioned, not or wanting to kind of take a departure from Toronto sounds, right? Something that I mean, off first listen for me that's the first thing that came to mind is the opposite. Is that I don't feel like I get what typically or might traditionally come out of the city on this project.
Yeah.
But would you say
that's another part of the name,
right?
In the city.
Okay.
Just being in Toronto and having it a bit different.
Right.
Was another thing that I was thinking about when naming it after the title track there.
Right. Thinking, are you saying more so like you're thinking about how being in here, but
being in the city and being influenced by that Toronto sound for so long, because that's a huge influence. Man, I love all those artists.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to do something a little different.
A little different, yeah, for sure, man.
Because even when you think about it, like you mentioned The Weeknd, and if you listen to the trilogy, that was so different than what everybody was putting out at that time.
Oh man, yeah.
And now that's like the sound.
Huge, man. Yeah, absolutely. House of Balloons is like it's pinnacle. It's pinnacle for so many people.
Classic album.
Yeah, truly.
House of Balloons, Chicks Tape 1. We're all just we love the classics.
Chinks Tape.
Chicks Tape.
Is that Tory Lanez?
Krish, what are you saying?
Is that Tory Lanez?
It's Tory Lanez.
Oh my god, I'm sad that I know that, man.
Classic of the city.
Shut the hell up. Anyways, first of all, he's from Brampton. He's from Saga. Can't even
Is
count
he
him,
from
man.
Brampton?
Do you know where he's from?
2019. Let's stop the Brampton
Sorry,
slander,
man,
folks.
Sorry. Hey, listen, that was
Already
not.
gets enough hate in the
Listen,
six
that was-
buzz and the
That was not
social
meant to
media.
be slander. I want to put that out. That was not meant to be
Stop
slander.
the Brampton hate, guys.
This guy's from here, man. He's from York Mills, Don Mills, man.
Region team.
Don Mills.
Oh, now he's a Durham man though. But anyways, it's okay, man.
I'm in the city, you know.
We know
GTA.
What I was trying to say was, I don't want to. Is it fair to give someone from Brampton, Toronto credit? That's the conversation. I'm not trying to give slander.
Yeah,
that's all I'm trying
I
to
think
say.
that's a conversation
That's
for
the real
another time. We
conversation,
can
yeah.
have a separate
Yeah.
podcast about demographics.
That's right. Just with like
Brampton and all that stuff,
we'll have
but
people from Brampton.
Saga.
We'll have Roy Woods. We'll have Tory Lanez. We'll have Tristan Thompson. We'll have the whole unit here.
Oh yeah, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah, we can't slander Brampton after our king. My king.
Tristan Thompson.
I forgot he was from there. Yo, shut up.
Exactly.
Shout out to God real quick. You know.
Shout out to God, Tristan Thompson. Please no shout outs for Tristan Thompson ever. Speaking of getting influence from in the city, something that you also mentioned is gaining influences from places outside of the city, and something that you kind of mentioned to us before we started recording is a relationship or some ties that you have to the city of Nashville. How did that kind of come about? How often
That's
are you there?
that country music thing. That's just from the songwriting,
Right.
I guess.
Right.
And I love it there. It's really a music community there. It's so different, just the way it feels when you go.
Yeah.
In terms of music culture, and literally, I was expecting it to be only country, but you go down there and it's everything. They got everything. Everybody loves hip hop. Everybody loves R&B.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it really feels like family. Like the first time I was there, I just went to a random guitar shop
Yeah.
because I had some problem to fix my guitar. Something fell out from the inside.
Yeah.
And so I showed it to the guy who fixed it. I was talking to him a bit and told him, like, it's my first time here. Like, I'm just doing a couple of co-writes and I want to see the town and this and that. And fixed it. No problem. He said, just take it and go. Like, welcome to the city.
Damn.
Good luck with everything. Don't worry about it.
Crazy.
And so, yeah.
Wow.
That was a really good first experience.
Yeah.
But I'll probably never take a guitar on a plane again.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. I can imagine that just being treacherous for it. And what did you say brought you down there in the first place? You said you're working on some music with people?
Yeah, it's like it's co-writing sessions. You never know what's going to come out of them.
True.
But like it's good. It's nice just to get together with other artists and sort of sit down and just work on things all together.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get something amazing. Sometimes it's nothing.
Yeah.
But
and how did you find out about it, or how was it that you even kind of heard about something taking place in Nashville in the first place?
that's a big, like, co-writing is a huge part of like the country. I guess just doing like more research into the genre and who was writing all the songs and seeing that all the artists were more or less writing their own songs. Then you see the same songwriters popping up, and then you look into them and see how they're doing co-writes with other big songwriters.
Right.
I was like, well, let me just try and set up some small ones and build from there. So
Crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
slowly trying to become a top tier songwriter. You know what I mean?
How do you know what you're gonna keep for yourself and give to, like, another artist?
Oh, you never know. And we were sitting down, Shay and me and Aryan and Stanford are two guys that help us on the back end of stuff. And holy, we were going in circles for an hour about literally for an hour.
Yeah.
Damn.
About what I should put on the next project and what I shouldn't put on the next project and what fits together and what doesn't fit together, because I have a lot of those singer-songwriter songs that I've written that don't necessarily like fit into a project that would like sort of like in the city.
Yeah.
But they might fit in later. We'll see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tricky thing.
Not
too.
saying yes
That's
or no,
tricky.
but
Yeah, for sure. Always very tricky in terms of, if you're gonna take the other route of like writing.
it's so
for
hard
someone
because
else.
like every song I write, I love, especially those ones, because those ones are very like, I don't want to say more sentimental than like the more neo soul R&B stuff, but they're very, very, very personal.
Yeah.
And so like you get attached to it. So just the thought of having somebody else record it is like crazy in the beginning, but after a while it's just like I just want people to hear the song.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course. That's a very, very tricky thing too, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it is something that is personal. Like,
mhm.
yeah, how hard thing to ask yourself, right? How comfortable you are with someone else being the
voice.
Yeah, the voice.
Face,
yeah, exactly. The voice and the face behind it. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's crazy. The first time I was in Nashville, I went to a bunch of like writers rounds.
Okay.
Which is how they set it up, is like maybe 4 or 5 writers sitting, and they go one by one for about an hour and play songs. And I'm listening to some of these songs. I'm like, damn, I heard this before. I heard this on the radio.
Yeah.
But I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And after I like talk to them, and they wrote the song, and they get all the publishing. And I'm like, wow, this is a cool business.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
writing, on the writing end.
Yeah.
That's where the money's at. So.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. These people are definitely catching royalty checks on all this stuff.
Yeah, unless they get like finessed by a
Yeah,
label.
unless they get
like that,
finessed.
you know?
Yeah, for real.
Own your masters.
Own your masters.
Own your
Hashtag
masters.
own your masters.
Hashtag
You already
own your
know.
masters. Hashtag R.I.P. Nip, man. The owner of the masters, man.
Own your masters.
Own your masters.
Own your publishing.
Yeah.
Do you know what that
Just own
process
everything.
is like, though? It's
What's
like just to own all your masters and things like that. Is that a long process? That expensive?
I mean, if you really bout it from the beginning, then you don't give them away in the first place. Then
I
you're
think it's
chilling,
just
but
knowing,
Yeah.
being educated about
yeah, that's
how
the
it
key.
works.
Don't sign stupid deals.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of it is in the legal side, right?
Mm,
Just like making
huge
sure.
part. Like,
them contracts.
Yeah.
oh man,
South African way.
don't send me the deal. Don't send me the deal with label heads, 'cause it never ends well. Still,
What do you mention here with South Africa? What are you bringing up? You tried to sign a deal in South Africa?
no, I didn't sign a deal, but no deal. No
Okay,
deal.
no deal. Shout out Howie Mandel.
No deal. Still available, you know. Still
Shout out
available.
Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
No deal.
We were reached out to by a DJ in South Africa.
Oh man.
We give a shout out to DJ 40 because I'll hit it again for him. Shout out DJ 40.
One time for South Africa.
One time for South Africa, but he reached out to me on Instagram, and then he was communicating with Shay
Mm.
about me top lining a song for his project that's coming out soon.
Right.
And in the beginning, I was like, "Is this a good look?"
Yeah.
As my phone
That might be
rings.
him.
Yeah, it might be him.
You already know, man. The phone doesn't stop ringing.
Yeah, the
right?
phone doesn't stop ringing, man. The money doesn't stop coming. Music doesn't stop being made.
I'll keep it here. So
Yeah, sure.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, you're good, man. You can pick up wherever you left off. Yeah, we'll just edit it all in, man. So,
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning of that.
Yeah,
Anyway, DJ 40 reached out to us. He was communicating with Shay about me top lining a song for him,
Right.
and in the beginning I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it because it's house music and very, very different.
it's a departure.
Even more different than my sort of singer songwriter stuff was from the R&B.
Right.
But I was like, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And good to get out of the comfort zone, sort
Yeah.
of like expand horizons. So I wrote the song, we recorded it, and then we had some interesting stuff learning about the contracts.
Oh man.
But luckily for us, this was a good situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there was no like sneakiness at all. He was very straight up from the beginning.
Right.
So good on him, and lucky for us to have this as one of our first
Yeah. It's good
Uh,
for learning.
business,
It's
yeah.
good, like,
business
first time
experiences.
seeing a music contract,
Yeah.
all those
Mhm.
terms and stuff like that. It was
Yeah,
good
definitely.
it was just good to have early on, because it provided like a good learning for us
Yeah.
moving forward.
Starting
Yeah,
point, right?
facts.
To kind of know what you might find yourself into moving forward.
Mhm.
Damn. That's scary too. That's
Yeah.
really it's
Mhm.
spooky to think about how many people just get really excited with the fact that like, you're getting paid or you're getting your exposure or both.
Yeah.
And not kind of think about the
Don't jump for the advances. You
Yeah,
gotta pay
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit back.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no
No,
kidding.
but yeah, like dealing with 40 was so cool. We sat down with him on
Yeah.
a FaceTime call.
Word.
Nicest guy.
Damn.
I love South Africans. though.
Yeah.
I went to Cape Town
Oh yeah.
a few years ago, like maybe 7 years ago.
Damn.
Love that country. Everybody's so nice there.
Weird.
So
Dang. Navik and I were just uncultured swine, man. Where's the last place you traveled to? Muskoka?
To Muskoka, Ontario. You already know I was up in there. People were, doing nothing. Cause
Making nips out there or what?
Hmm?
OT making nips?
Whoa, you already know. Joke.
I don't know, man.
Don't make it hot on
Big.
here.
Sorry,
man.
my bad.
Don't make it hot.
You know, I've
on
been
that.
I've been to Orangeville. You know, shit was
Yeah,
popping.
Orangeville's
out there,
popping.
Yeah, and
You ever been to Flapjacks?
No, I've not been to. I've never actually been to Orangeville.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
just boosted.
It's a
But
restaurant in Orangeville. It's
Okay,
pretty
we're-
good.
okay, they're okay. I have reason to go now. I shouldn't have dished. Still, my bad to anyone from Orangeville.
well, just a warning. Orangeville, light racism.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Just, I don't know if you guys experienced that over there. I
Over
have.
there, no, I don't spend too much time.
Yeah.
To be honest, so I wouldn't know. But
Don't go those
Yeah.
ways.
Hmm?
Don't go those ways.
Don't go those
Too
ways,
much.
man. That's PSA. PSA.
The homie got hit by a car,
Mhm.
and he had to pay the woman. So,
say we're
It's messed up,
Yikes.
man.
scary
It's
place out there.
Don't go to
no,
Orangeville.
avoid that. Avoid that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Stay in the city.
Stay in the city for real. So the few things that we've talked about right now have kind of been based around the music that you've kind of been working on. Something that you kind of alluded to earlier, which we definitely want to ask you more about, is what your the artist community that you're kind of a part of looks like. Who, whether within the city or outside of the city, have you been able to kind of build a collaborative or just like a meaningful relationship with in terms of music? Who are the people that you choose to collaborate with and who kind of keeps the juices flowing for you?
Oh, there's so many people to name, but
Yeah.
the main ones are like my boy Mitch,
Yeah.
who's like the dopest guitar player in Southern Ontario, straight up.
Wow.
But yeah, really shout out to him because he's like missioning from Cambridge all the time to come out here to rehearse with me for all the acoustic shows and get ready for all the recording sessions. He's like the number one guy. He's always here in terms of the music. And then right now, this next project we're working on with a producer, his name is Braden Sauter.
Okay.
Dope guy. I talked to him before I recorded in the city, and I've always wanted to just get in and work with him because he sort of understood that whole like modern thing but mixed with the old stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really coming out in the new stuff.
Amazing.
You'll hear it when it comes out.
Yeah. And we're definitely keen to ask you about that as well. Do you kind of have some plans for this year? Do you feel like you're not too focused on time, but more so just about getting the project to where you want it to be? Do you have some kind of time or dates in mind for releasing music?
No dates set, but I'll probably put something out very, very soon.
Great, man.
And in terms of the whole project, though, I'm kind of just working on it, and I want to make sure that it's perfect because this one's a big project.
For sure.
Like, I mean, Shay, what do you think about this project?
Fire.
Fire. Say it less.
Yeah, and like no cap. It's something you want to take our time with and not necessarily rush. Because we've learned from in the city.
Yeah.
And kind of that was a learning experience. Totally. Just the way to roll things out and stuff. Because this has a lot of good stuff.
Key.
Yeah, man.
But yeah.
It's definitely just, I just want to make sure everything is like sounding the way I want it to sound.
Of course.
Before. But we did focus on a few songs that we can pick a single from. So
Beautiful.
So yeah, we'll have some stuff out soon.
Amazing. And yeah, just for anyone who hasn't heard, we can find you on most or all streaming platforms.
All streaming platforms,
Perfect.
It's everywhere.
Beautiful.
I hope.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I gotta talk to my manager.
Yeah, talk to you.
We're live. We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
We live. We live on DistroKid. DistroKid's holding it down. Shout out DistroKid.
Shout out to SoCan.
SoCan,
All those guys.
ASCAP.
Shout out ASCAP.
Yeah.
Buddy, can I just make a public announcement to make sure that all artists are collecting their performance royalties? Because a lot of people don't know about that.
Hit him with all the PSAs, man. Go ahead.
Just make sure that you're collecting your performance royalties because they're there to be collected too. It's not just, the publishing side. Cheese.
Anything else?
That's it for me. I don't want to give away all the secrets.
PSA, man. I feel like throughout this kind of episode, the latter half here, you guys have shared a lot of kind of important things for artists to be aware of when it comes to living sustainably off music, right? Because I think given this the state of music that we find ourselves in, again, as you kind of mentioned on the business side of it, it becomes scary to think about, what
It's ridiculous. 53 million streams to make $1 million. And then when you have to cut out
everything,
like you have all your splits,
Yeah.
if you have all these splits, and like the record deal is taking 70%, and this person's taking this much, and this person manager 20%, this and that.
Yeah,
What's left for you?
it's frightening. Yeah, we've
That's
talked
if
about-
you get 53 million streams, and we're talking about $1 million.
Yeah, exactly,
But-
exactly.
Mm.
And to even think about how many artists even get to that point, right? It does become frightening. And do you feel like hearing those stats and like knowing those numbers, and does that ever kind of discourage you? Do you feel like having the kind of tools and having a lot of the information that you do now empowers you a little bit more to kind of fight through a lot of the bullshit that kind of exists within the industry?
It does. I mean, knowledge is power.
Yeah,
So you just always got to be learning
yeah.
and just being smart about everything, I guess.
Being
Like,
smart, yeah. And we know the product is good. So that's
That's what's
at
key,
the
like,
basis of
yeah.
everything is the product. What you're putting out has to be good.
Yeah.
And then around that, the business has to be in place.
Of
So
course.
with that in
Yeah.
mind, I don't know if it's frightening, but it's like,
yeah, I wouldn't say it's frightening because, like, I'm excited about it, to be honest,
Yeah.
just to get in because everybody has a different story. So
Yeah.
you can't, like, look at somebody and be like, oh, I'm going to do exactly what they did and end up where they are.
Yeah.
no
Right, so-
formula.
Yeah.
No formula.
Yeah. I think that's the kind of the
Everybody says they're in the lab, but there's no formulas out
there's,
here.
there's no formula.
Lock me in.
Yeah.
Anybody send you those texts before? Yeah, lock me in the studio. Bro.
Lock me in the studio.
Mm.
Someone's just asking to suffocate, man. That's
I'm gonna keep it a buck. When I went through certain things with things.
Sorry. Say that a bit louder.
When I went through some things with some things.
Perfect.
Get with that one. When I'm in that vibe, I start texting. I have a friend, Savithan, who does music.
Yeah.
I hit him with that text, lock me in.
Yo, lock
Like,
me
he
in the
knows
studio.
what's going down,
12 hours straight.
That's what I want.
China Garden, straight to the crib, man. We're not leaving. Get that takeout shit. But before we kind of go into the last little bit of the episode, which is always we just kind of end it on a lighter note. You're gonna be performing soon. We got Canadian Music Week coming
Forming
up.
soon, May 8th.
Please tell us all about that. Please tell us how people can find out about that. Come through and support as well.
Yeah, May 8th. It's going to be a big show. We're going to be playing some of these new songs that we've been working on in the studio the last little bit.
Yeah.
The band's excited. I'm excited. Tickets, you can find them on my website.
Beautiful. We'll make sure to link it.
www.georgeroubos.com/shows.
Beautiful.
Also, who's your photographer? Like on the website and Instagram and stuff like that.
Depends which photo.
Or what the website stuff?
The website stuff. Which was that the photo with the mountains?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, who took that picture actually?
This is what happened. So I went up to the mountain and I set up the whole camera and I gave it to my brother and I was like, push the button.
So
So
who
he
gets the
did that.
credit? That's a tough one, man.
See, now he gets the credit
he-
because he pushed the button.
He gets director of photography credit. You get.
It's the
you get
this is
creative direction.
the publishing
Yeah,
split
yeah,
right here.
yeah.
He's the master. Who
You
owns
gotta
the
get
masters
that-
on
you
the
gotta get
picture,
that
bro.
little picture, man. That's how you got to do that, man.
Yeah, he took some dope photos. That whole we shot a whole roll of film up there
Wow.
because
Where was that exactly? Was that
that's
in
in Greece. Yeah, just
Crazy.
outside of Tripoli, where my grandparents are from.
Greece? Crazy.
But
Beautiful.
yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, we shot a whole roll of film up there, and he did a good job.
Yeah, man. They look.
He did a
they
good
turned out
job.
super good for real.
I just had to set up the.
Set it
Set
all
up the
up.
other
Get
stuff,
the
but
scene
Just
right.
press,
Like,
just
he's
press the
got all-
button.
got
That's
all
it.
the angles, got all
get
the
the
angles.
brightness, get the ISO setting. Your brother just press the button.
Yeah.
But shout out to him.
That
Tricky on
photography
film, you
background,
can't
man.
see
Yeah.
That's it helps. No, it helps because a lot of the stuff we do visually,
Yeah.
you understand it,
Mm.
which comes from your background in
Your background,
photography.
yeah,
So
photography.
it helps. This guy might shoot his own cover art.
Yeah, man.
No,
run
like
it. Why
yeah,
not?
It
legit.
looked like that.
Don't be surprised.
Self-shoot, man.
Don't be
Selfie
surprised.
stick. You know?
I learned. I think a reason why I'm not so I guess scared
Mm.
about the business side is because doing photography, I kind of saw a lot of
Yeah.
the same sort of stuff, and learned a lot of stuff doing that, especially like going to New York and whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having like all these guys and Ari and Stanford on the business end.
Right.
I'm just like, I feel like, you know, we got
You
everything.
feel supported.
Yeah.
You feel like people
Supported
people
from all over, from the family, from these guys.
Yeah.
The music family, from my family.
Yeah. Of
all
course.
that. So
That's special, man. That's special, and obviously we're excited to hear as it continues to come out, man. We'll definitely be here on the sidelines for you.
thank you.
Yeah, of course, man, and thank you for joining us too. We for the first time ever, we'll be
Buddy.
no worries.
Phone line ringing.
For the first time ever, we'll be having someone do like a little live performance on the podcast here. So we're pretty excited about that. But before we get into that, we'll get into our last two segments before finishing up. We'll start with the one we call 3P. Shout out to Lil Wayne.
Young Moolah, baby!
Yeah, make sure that audio comes out correct. But this one is a very, very, very simple one. We ask you 3 questions in sets of 3. And you just try and answer them as quickly as you can.
Oh, shoot.
No
nothing too
quadratic
difficult, I
formulas.
promise. What'd you say?
No quadratic formula.
No quadratic formulas. Yeah.
I was nervous about that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I never studied for that.
Yeah.
Back
No,
in high
man,
school.
I promise. No math.
Dude, my music, I just want to say this. Shout out to Stephen Lashbrook, who's my production teacher at George Roubos. One time we had a meeting, and he had like probably this big of papers.
Right.
And he walked in, he was like, George, I need to see you in the studio, because we had some studios there.
Right.
And I was like, shit, what's going to happen now? Is he like going to ask me to do something for this or that?
Right.
And he throws the papers down on the stool that was there. He was like, you know what this is? I was like, no, and I don't want to guess.
Yeah.
He was like, this is how many times you missed class.
Oh shit.
And I was like, I don't think it was that many. And I was like, dude, I see you here every day. Why are you not going to the other classes? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just come to school and I find myself in the studio.
Yeah.
So he sort of like pushed me into my other classes.
Yeah.
Like, and all I wanted to do in high school was just go there and then go to my studio production class, because I was like making music all day. It was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And he sort of just was a little hard on me and pushed me to like stick to the school side too. So
to
shout out Stephen Lashbrook. He's like living his best life in China.
Damn, man. Shout out to Steve, man. God damn.
But you went to Vanya?
I went to Vanya, yeah.
Yo, you know Johnny and Matita?
This guy, like, hey, you know my third cousin twice removed?
I'm also assuming like we're all the same age. I don't know.
Ish.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
right?
born 92.
Oh yeah, a couple. I mean, that would make sense for you to know them. 'cause
Pratita is somebody that I know, yeah.
That's funny because I know some people from that school. It's a very, you know, Scarborough's not. It's pretty small, you know.
Porapati.
Yeah.
Okay. You already know.
Yeah, you already
I
know.
don't know what that means. That's all I remember from all my Tamil friends. No, but yeah, Johnny and Pratita, yeah. I know the names.
Yo, shout out to Johnny and Petita, man. You got anything special to say about them, man?
Yo, fuck you. I'm kidding. Nah. You know what? What up?
You just brought
What
it up,
up?
That's
eh?
it.
You remember me? I remember you.
All right, so we got
We out here now.
First question for you, as quickly as you can, man. Don't think too hard about it. Who are 3 artists you're bumping right now?
Lionel Richie, John Mayer, and Lennon Stella.
Boom, easy. Second one, 3 places we have to eat in your neighborhood.
In my neighborhood?
Yeah, drop your family restaurant, man. If they're still.
It's
out
not
here.
in the neighborhood, but Times Square Diner. It's a little
Okay.
bit of a drive. No. Parkdale neighborhood.
All right, perfect. We'll run it. Times Square.
In this area? Dude, I don't eat in this area.
All right, fair.
That's a hard question. How about just in the city of Toronto?
Yeah, what's
Allen's pastry.
Oh,
Oh,
Allen's
at,
Pastry. Okay,
Peanut
Allen's
Plaza?
Pastry.
Peanut
Allen's
Plaza?
Pastry, yeah. Mr. Jerk can go on still.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fire.
And
Chris Jerk. Is it Chris Jerk?
no,
I don't know, man. You tell
where's
me.
that? I go to
One second.
Chinese at the Kanji Queen on
Kanji Queen, okay.
at Steele's and Dufferin.
True.
There's one around the corner, but I go to that one. I like that
Steele's
one.
and
I know Steele's and Don Mills.
Chris Jerk
Not
Caribbean
Dufferin. I'm not
Bistro.
Dow West, man.
Yeah. All right, we got Chris.
Wow, that was hard.
From you.
That was hard.
It's a tough one, eh? All right, and last one. 3 people you'd like to collaborate with.
Oh shit. John Mayer.
Jeez.
John Mayer. Call me.
Beautiful. That's called manifesting, man. You're just putting it out into the universe. John Mayer listens to this podcast actually, so you never know.
Say
Never know. All right, we got one more segment left. This one's called
Pre-workout kicked in full hard. Jeez.
And this one is unofficially sponsored by Campbell Soup. And it's just a segment to get something that's made you salty off your chest, Nivik always comes through with something that he's got to get off his chest. So, it's mainly a therapy session for Nivik. We just end the episode with a small therapy session. But, we open it up for the guests and maybe, periodically if I have something to say as well. But Nivik, man, tell us, what's made you salty lately?
Well, so I did stand up for the first time maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, man. Yeah, tell us about it.
And it's been about 4 years since I touched the stage.
Yeah.
Since I rocked the mic. And when I got on that stage, there were some haters in the building.
Were there really? There were no haters.
I saw them in their eyes. I actually looked at them individually. I said, "Hi, hater." And you know what I had to do? I had to kill it. I had to do my thing. I had to do 8 minutes, and I had to give them my story.
That's what's up.
I had to give them McCown and Finch.
MCF.
And I did that.
Do your setup, cuz.
I don't know. Give me a year.
Sorry?
Give me a year.
Can we mark that down?
Soundbite.
Year?
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
I think you said year, like
Year?
in 2019. Year. Oh, year.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you know what? I was going to do a one and done type thing, but I think I'm going to keep going.
Yes.
And
keep the people laughing, man.
And thank you to people that clapped.
People clap, man. Like I gotta set the record straight. It went well.
I can imagine. Like we were talking earlier. Like
yeah, man.
I appreciate your style of comedy, and I'm sure many other people do as well.
I'm kind of jealous. I never heard any.
Yeah, man.
It's not that good.
It is, man. Hey, listen, man. We're changing the
2019.
narrative,
More stand up from the Vig.
More stand up from the Vig, 100%.
Thank you, man.
We need that.
It is.
Real talk.
It's a special kind of humor, which I know. I think for the nature of the show and what a lot of the themes and kind of the ideas that were being presented that day, I don't want to say it didn't fall in line with them, but your sense of humor didn't come from the kind of same angle that a lot of the other comics did that night. And a lot of the other comics are people that this audience in particular, primarily a Tamil audience, have seen before as well, right? There's that's the thing, right? When you do things more, there's nuances or there's parts of your routine that people will expect, and you pretty much are one of the only people, maybe one of two people who like no one had really seen before, right? So if anything, I'd say that's a tough thing to do, right? Is to just like walk into a crowd, is like, who is this guy? And pull up and still garner laughs, right? That's a tough thing. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way with music. It's like if you pull up on a
100%.
bill and everyone else is rapping and you pull up with your acoustic guitar, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking, I can imagine, right?
It is.
But
when you get the applause at the end of the day, it's like
exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and more importantly, it's like you trust in your work. So shout out to you, man. Shout out to Luke.
Yes, sir.
Some more stand-up 2019. Nivik, you also wanted to quickly talk about your new Patreon, right?
Real quick, because we got some great stuff coming. We're doing a Patreon soon, because if you want to support us even more, we're gonna do this Patreon.
Sorry, just you. Right?
Just me?
Yeah, just you.
Okay, I'm gonna do the Patreon on behalf of High Top Flip Flops.
Yeah.
For High Top Flip Flops. So if you pay a certain amount, I will do something. So $50, I will rob your ex. $52, I will rob your dad. Regular stuff like $500, I'll go blonde. And the big one, for $5,000, I will join the military. Salute the troops. Okay. Yeah, so that's for real.
Right.
We're gonna get right on that.
Uh-huh.
And last thing, which I don't know if we'll keep in, but we're doing the first annual High Top Flip Flops Fuck a Fan Challenge. And what this means is we're gonna be looking for hot tings.
No.
But tings meaning energy, hot energy. You know? Because ultimately that's what I love, good energy. You know, I wanna be able to fuck your energy. As long as you're over 23. So that's definitely coming up soon. And you guys have any, stupid updates, anything you're angry at as well this week?
What am I angry at? I can't say I've been angry at anything as of late.
It's good, man.
Maybe New Orleans Pelicans
Oh yeah. The basketball
screwing
team?
up my Lakers.
Oh, true.
I'm angry.
LeBron,
Real
nah,
talk.
but soft. LeBron's gonna rest his hairline a little bit. You know.
Yeah. Number one Laker fan over here.
Number one Lakers fan. we be back next year. We'll be back next year.
It's always next year. You already know.
But George, you said you had something you had to get off your chest here.
Oh my, Manchester United.
Oh,
Shocking.
you know
Everybody.
What? You know what?
Everybody.
I'm about to start a soccer podcast just now. Just you, me, George. We'll just talk about soccer for 4 hours straight. We'll just be angry. We'll just throw plates up against walls.
Let's
That's
do
all.
it. End it with a Twitch. FIFA session.
End it with a Twitch FIFA session for therapy. Yeah. But listen, man. No, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
for setting this up with us as well, and thank you for hosting this house. We're obviously very excited for the music to come, and we're excited to see you at Canadian Music Week as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be very good.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's opinion there.
Yeah,
man.
man.
It's
We
New stuff.
are certainly here to support, and we're certainly here to keep pushing in the city, which you have out right now as well. And anyone who's listening to this, definitely peep that on your Spotify's, your Apple Music's, wherever you're listening to that.
Let me know what you think. I love criticism.
Yeah, where do you prefer people to hit you up on Instagram, on Twitter?
Yeah, Instagram's dope.
Okay, perfect. What's your handle? Where can people find you?
George Roubos.
Perfect. We'll make
We
sure
gotta
to
spell
link
that out or no?
I'll link that. We'll link that. Maybe we'll put that in text because we're figuring out how to video edit.
Shouldn't be too hard. If man's from South Africa are finding you. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it shouldn't be too hard for you people out
DJ
there.
40 in Africa's fine.
Shout out 40.
Shout out 40.
But as always,
The
man,
interesting thing
yeah, go ahead.
that we could keep in or take out, but
Yeah.
Canadian Music Week is like putting focus on bridging the music between here and South Africa, and we found out about that after this like collaboration happened. Yeah.
No way. Might have to bring DJ 40 up to Toronto then.
Yeah, I hit him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Man,
We'll see.
fingers crossed that pulls through.
That's it.
But listen, thank you again for joining us. It's episode 63 with George here and Shayan. As always, I'm Chris, aka not Chris, aka the Thelma Hemingway, aka Bash. Oh, aka not the Thelma Hemingway. R.I.P'd that, man. Sorry. aka Bash me outside because I don't fight, I just get beat up. Aka Lil Poopy Dirt, aka Dr. Do Too Little, aka It's Not Me, It's Not You. Just going through a tough time right now. As always, I'm here with Navik.
It's Navik, aka Navape, aka Mr. Romp on your girls, alone and one away, aka the Tamil Tyrese, aka Low Couch, aka Tupac Shakur.
We got George. We got Shayan.
Yeah.
One name,
Can we say
George.
bye. Bye.
Song's called In the City.
I'll be in the city for some time, trying to find someone that's down right now. When it got mixed up with the wrong crowds, find some time to make it right. You're like, where you been, where you been? I've been out the country for a minute, had to get my mind right from a distance. Been up in the mountains, seeing different. Nothing else to say. How many times could I explain what's on my brain? Hoping that it changes, but it never does, it never does, no. About to make up, then we gon' fuck. Still jealous, these women been showing me love. Till it gets to that point, enough is enough. I'm not gonna fight for it. I've been down this road before. I've got feelings I'm ignoring. Only makes me want it more, but I'll be in the city for some time, trying to find someone that's down right now. When it got mixed up with the wrong crowds, find some time to make it right. You like where you been, where you been? I've been out the country for a minute. Had to get my mind right from a distance. Been up in the mountains, seeing different. Nothing else to say. How many times could I explain what's on my brain? Hoping that it changes, but it never will, no. I've been believing in something that's so unreal, but I can feel me deep between. Turn around now and let me see side of you that I ain't ever seen. Direct the movie but won't cut your scene, no. I thought about it but you know I won't. Know you wish that I would call your phone. I'll be in the city for some time, trying to find someone that's down right now. When it got mixed up with the wrong crowd, find some time to make it right. You're like, where you been, where you been? I've been out the country for a minute. Had to get my mind right from a distance. Been up in the mountains, seeing different. Nothing else to say. How many times could I explain what's on my brain? Hoping that it changes, hoping that it changes, hoping that it changes, hoping that it changes.
Only for a thick hoe, white hoe, let's go. Hey, that's one tight though. We was having sex, now she tryna burn hoe. Yeah, turn on, yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh. She don't wanna have fun, so just let her. Shit up what I had, yeah.